Hello friends, welcome to another vlog. Today we're going to jump right into it because I feel like you guys have seen enough of my gargoyle face waking up in the morning. Alright, so we're making our way down the hall and then we're going to stop in the kitchen and we're going to grab some drinks because, as I've said many times before, you gotta stay hydrated. And today we are taking yet another adventure, going on a little road trip. If you want to check out the previous adventures that we've gone on to San Francisco and other little road trips around the Bay Area, I'm going to put up a card here so you can check out the vlogs. You may notice that I am very hastily making my way through the front yard because it is freaking hot out. This was a few weeks ago, so it was in September, and it was like 95, I think, something like that. And you're going to see by the end of the vlog, it is quite a difference in climate by the time we get to our destination. The dogs are already in the van, ready to go, and then I am going to transfer my disabled ass into the van. You might be able to eavesdrop on my conversation here with my mom. She's telling me how she cleared all of the wood chips out of the driveway. If you watched the previous vlog, which I'll put up right here, you'll remember that our driveway at one point was covered, absolutely covered with wood chips. And now they're gone. My mom did work. Alright, so after shaving, because I always do it in the car now, we are on the road, hitting the freeway and going out Highway 37. Now, it's around this point that you will probably notice that the scenery is changing a bit from previous road trips that we've taken on vlogs. You can see some nice vineyards here. We're in Sonoma County now, heading up to the North Bay. This is Lakeville Road. I think it's Highway 116. I went to college at Sonoma State up here in the North Bay, and I used to drive back and forth between Sonoma County and Martinez, at least a couple times a week usually, and I would always take this road, and I just love it. The trees and the farmland and the pastures is just gorgeous. Gorgeous drive. If you ever have a chance, I would definitely take this drive. Now we are heading west. I think we've gone through Petaluma at this point and Valley Ford, and we're making our way towards the coast. Going to high school and college in the Bay Area, in this area, it's always nice to, on really hot days like 90, 100-degree days, to escape to the coast where, like today, it's usually about 30 degrees cooler. In fact, in a moment, you'll notice that the climate shifts from sunny and clear skies to completely cloudy and very foggy, which it's just like natural air conditioning. It's amazing on a hot day. And here we go into the fog. Actually, I took a little video here of the temperature reading outside the car, and you'll see I think it's about 64, which was at least 30 degrees cooler. It's amazing. Even Squirrel is stoked about it, though I will say he is definitely a hot weather dog. On these 90-degree days, he's a psycho and will just lie on the hot bricks outside. I don't know what he's thinking. If you haven't figured it out yet, we are in Bodega Bay, which is the location of one of my favorite movies, The Birds. This gas station was actually one of the locations for the film, and I'm going to put a little clip here so you can see what it used to look like. This aerial shot with the wharf is actually still there too. There are a bunch of restaurants and shops that are there now. If you ever visit Bodega Bay, you may notice that the birds still have a very strong presence here. Literally, they're hanging out on the telephone wires. There's also a restaurant called The Birds Cafe here in Bodega Bay, and I believe they do a Alfred Hitchcock movie festival. Okay, moving on, we are going to sort of wind our way through Bodega Bay and along the highway. There are a lot of cool shops here in town. There's saltwater taffy. There's a lot of like oyster bars and crab cakes and just different look like restaurant places. We were actually going to stop and grab some food from one of them, but I guess they all sort of close around like 6 or 7 o'clock, which I didn't really realize. So that by the time we were ready to eat, they were all pretty much closed. So next what we did is we drove north up the Sonoma Coast, and there's a little town called Jenner, which is, I don't know, maybe about 10 minutes north of Bodega Bay. It's like very, very small. I mean, Bodega Bay is a small town, but Jenner is like literally just like a few buildings and then some houses. But it's a cool spot. It's like right on the coast. I guess technically they call it Jenner by the Sea, sort of like a marketing thing, like Capitola by the Sea and Carmel by the Sea. I don't know like why that trend started, but it's definitely a trend for sort of beachy little communities on the coast. Well, look at all this pampas grass. I love pampas grass. It's just like the giant feather duster that I want to just play with. Okay, so we're kind of just going to drive around the Sonoma Coast for a while, and you kind of get a glimpse of what it's like on this kind of spooky, foggy day. You got a lot of rocks out on the coast. It's not a very pleasant beach scene, I guess. You wouldn't really want to like sunbathe on it. There's like a lot of rocks. One of the beaches is like almost all rocks, and it's not very comfortable to lay on. But it is a nice drive, and it's definitely nice on a hot day to escape the hot weather. I'll put up a little map here so you can get an idea of exactly where in the world we are, because I know some people watching this may be in other countries or other parts of the US and have no idea where the heck we are. So I'll put up a little map so you get an idea of that. And eventually, we are going to end up in a place called Goat Rock, which I was pretty much unfamiliar with until we took this drive. And we kind of just took a chance on it. It looked like maybe it was a spot to check out. So we kind of meandered down this road and ended up at this like kind of cliffy beach area with a very dubious, maybe even dangerous looking road that we weren't even really sure that we were allowed to drive down. But then we saw a bunch of cars in a parking lot at the other end of the road, so we decided to go for it. And it's actually a fairly used road, but it's just not paved and it's a little treacherous. You can see the road up ahead here on the left, and at the end of the road is Goat Rock. And I'm kind of just guessing, but I think it's probably called Goat Rock because maybe they used to have goats on it. I don't think it's because it looks like a goat. It doesn't look like a goat. It just looks like a big rock. Nevertheless, it was a cool place to hang out. One thing I love about this area is it never gets hot. Even on the hottest hot days in the Bay Area, it's like maybe 65 degrees here. So it makes sense that we're pretty much going to hang out here the whole day. It's just nice and cool. And as nice as it is, Pixie is anxious, but she's always anxious. So I'm going to try to comfort her, but it's pretty much a lost cause. Oh, and I did a couple time lapses. And in doing so, I learned that time lapses are sort of difficult, at least in the sense of you have to hold the camera still for a long time. And that is surprisingly hard. It might have helped if I had a tripod or something, but I didn't. I was just holding my phone out the window for like 10 minutes. Okay, now we are going to head home. I think it's probably around maybe 7 o'clock, 6 or 7 o'clock now, and this is kind of when I was what I was talking about earlier, in that the places we were kind of getting hungry, and now the places we wanted to eat at were closed. But we're kind of going to drive back towards Bodega Bay nonetheless. First, sort of making our way along the rocky cliffs and spooky, foggy, misty climate. It's really interesting watching this footage back because I guess I didn't really realize how far we drove, but it was quite a ways from Bodega Bay and definitely from Vallejo. But as we kind of retraced our steps, I was like, wow, that was kind of a ways. And that might be partly why we missed some of those restaurants closing. Eventually, however, we will make it back to Bodega Bay, and as we drive through the town again, you will see some of the shops that I was talking about earlier. Um, there's one shop that has pink and white stripes on it, and very fittingly, that is the saltwater taffy shop, which we did not stop in. But it was kind of torture because you could literally smell the barbecued oysters being cooked, and yet the restaurants were closed. So I was really craving a barbecued oyster, but they're also very expensive, especially in Bodega Bay and Sonoma County, Marin County. They're like $4 each for like one oyster. So, and they don't really sell them like individually. So, I think you have to buy like at least half a dozen for like $25 or something. So I mean they're good, but I wouldn't eat them regularly. Otherwise, I wouldn't have any money. Coming up here is the wharf from the bird scene that I showed earlier. You can see it's definitely more modern now, but the bones are still the same. And listen here for me whining about the restaurants being closed.
Smells like they're still cooking. Come on, guys.
Since we took this trip, we've actually gone back and we did get some food. I didn't get the barbecued oysters, but I did get some clam chowder in a gluten-free bread bowl. Yeah, I know, bougie, but it was super good. And also, I think my mom got some fish tacos, and they had some other cool stuff. They had like gluten-free churros. Did not get those though, but next time maybe I'll get some oysters and some churros. They had all kinds of good stuff. The timing on the clam chowder is kind of important, though, I will say, because something about my mind was just stuck in like the hot weather, and the last thing you want on a 95-degree day is hot clam chowder. So we did come back on a colder day and grab the clam chowder. Here we are on the return part of the journey, making our way back through Sonoma County. Coming up is going to be Valley Ford. It's a nice, very, very, very small little town. There's a couple of restaurants, maybe like one grocery store and a post office, and then that's it. Here we are coming up on Petaluma, and the sun is setting. And see, when we were in the fog, you wouldn't have been able to see this, but now that we're out of it, you can get a little bit of the golden hour. All right, and now here we are back in Vallejo, and it is dark, very dark. My mom is whizzing on up with the scooter, and then I'm going to, of course, transfer into it, as I always do at the end of these little road trips. Then I'm going to take my scooter through the front yard and on up to the front door, and oh, look at that. Do you see that? Do you see it? There's a package. What could it be? I think this is postcard top loaders. Not very exciting, but you know, packages are always sort of exciting. It's like Christmas. All right, and now we're back inside, and I am going to finish my nighttime routine pretty quickly. You've probably already seen it on other vlogs, and if you haven't, you can check it out. It's not very exciting, but it is there, and I'm pretty dang beat, so I'm going to say goodnight. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.